Hello, friends. Welcome to this episode of the Expansive CEO Podcast. We are here. We're going to talk about some really good stuff today. I'm your host, Hannah Chapman. Lauren Ammon is my beautiful, amazing, wonderful co host. We are both generators, manifesting generator 6-2, sacral authority. Lauren, sacral authority 1-3, pure generator. We're going to talk a little bit more about projectors today, though. So if you have been listening and being like, God, all they talk about is generators all the time. Sorry, so sorry. Um, but I had the most, I truly love, I truly love coaching. Like, I'm just going to say that first. I really love being able to work with people. Um, over time and get to know them and be able to like really truly like just drop in from any place of like, hey, this is going on right now, like what can we see? And this particular client that I spoke to earlier, she is a projector. She's a splenic projector. And there were just some really, really powerful things that came up that we wanted to share a little more widely. So that was not a very detailed intro. Can you can you clean it up, Lauren?
It needs to be cleaned up. This is going to be an exploration or a case study of definition, of openness, of how we perceive ourselves based on the energy we have or don't have, and how that translates in oftentimes when we're in connection with other people, because we've talked about that before. So you actually learn more about yourself, or you can be more self-reflective in your interactions with people, particularly from an energy mechanics standpoint, because it's like, well, why did that come up? Or what is that telling me? And I think what we're about to walk through is a perfect example of particularly how projectors can work and why sometimes it feels, why, I mean, I can't speak from the perspective of a projector, but sometimes I think for projectors, why it feels so icky. That's not the word I'm looking for, but apprehensive, or sometimes why projectors can feel apprehensive after they've learned that they are a projector.
Yes. Yeah, and that's I mean, having worked with so many people over the last, well, what are we at? 5.5 years
Yeah.
of, learning and doing and teaching and coaching and, in human design realm, I don't know that I've ever told someone, who new to human design that they're a projector and not gotten that, like, "What do you mean I have to wait for the invitation? Ew, I don't like that. I don't want that to be me." And so, yes, so we're going to that, talk about that aspect in particular, kind of that invitation wound that projectors can carry. We're also going to talk about how to speak kindly to yourself and why that is one of the most important things that you can learn and do is to be your own best friend, be your own biggest cheerleader. And how do we do that? And why is that coming up? Um, what was the other thing? I can't remember now.
Well, before we hopped on, it's kind of like I always talk about, it's the Spider-Man phenomenon. Like, with great power comes great responsibility.
Yes, there we go. Love that. Yes, with great, in the human design sense, with great definition comes great responsibility.
Yes.
Where you are defined, and especially if you are highly defined in a certain area, you carry a lot of responsibility for how you express that energy out into the world. So let's kind of dive in right there. I think that's a really good place to start. So if you go grab your chart, pause, go grab your chart and just look at the body graph. We're not looking at anything specific necessarily, but look at the centers that are filled in, that are completely colored in. Those are the ones that are defined, right? And then your centers that are white on the chart, depending on where your chart is from, but usually it's white or light colored, and then your defined centers are dark colored. Where you are defined is where your energy impresses upon others is where your energy shines out into the world. You can kind of think of it like look at your body graph and look at your centers that are lit up and like kind of pretend those are like flashlights. Bless you.
Thank you.
They're like flashlights, like sending energy out, beaming out from those places. And where you're undefined, that's where you are receiving energy from others. If you're a reflector, if you pull your chart and you have no definition, you are a reflector, you are special. Uh, you also have great responsibility in a little bit different way. But this in the context of this case study that we're talking about today, this client is a splenic projector and has a defined ego. So that's the little triangle kind of towards the middle right of the chart, connected to her spleen, which is the um, triangle on the left side of the chart, connected down to her root, which is the very bottom square. And then she also has the top two triangles, the crown and the ajna, or head and ajna, defined as well. So those are the places where she is responsible for her energy going out into the world. On the other end, and what we're going to talk about, especially in this sense of self-love today, I am defined kind of all the way down. So from my throat down to my sacral, throat, G center, sacral. Those are the three kind of right in the middle of the chart. And then my spleen and ego, the triangle on the left to the little triangle on the right. That's my definition. And I am very prominently defined in my G center. And how many do I have? 3 activations on my gate 10.
Yes.
I think it's 3. That gate 10 is the gate of self-love. There's more to it than that, but like at its core, it's the gate of self-love. That means I have a very deep responsibility in my expression of when I walk into a room, I am responsible for knowing myself, for grounding into my expression of self-love. And that is part of the energy that I lend to the room when I step into it. And that's, again, even if this is the only thing you take from this whole episode, if you take that where you are defined, it is your responsibility to bring healthy energy into the room as much as you can. Are you going to be perfect? Hell no. No one's perfect. It's fine. But if you are consciously aware of like, oh, when I step into a room, I bring this energy with me, that is one of the most important things you can do. I'll pause there for a second. Do you have anything to add first there?
No, I mean, I think that's a perfectly succinct way of putting it is that, again, what we are defined in, we put out into the world where we are open. That's what we're bringing in from the world. So if you think about it from that point of view, and having that responsibility of putting the healthiest version of your definition out into the world, that means those who are undefined in those areas are taking in that healthy expression. They're learning through your example of putting that healthy energy out into the world of what that means, what it's like, how they experience that from you, or what they're really experiencing is what you're experiencing, right? I mean, for those of us who are defined in that way, in and there may be some people out there be like, "I don't know their responsibility." Well, no. But to look at it from that healthy point of view is to really truly know yourself. I don't have gate 10, right? No, no, sure don't. But what I said to you before getting onto this is like, it's really hard not to love yourself in your presence.
Can you say that a little differently? Can you say the whole thing? That because when I not to you need to give me
Go.
a pat on the back, right? No,
No, go, go.
for you to because I have um worked I have worked on this. I very, very like intentionally in a lot of ways. And now like what I know of me at my very core, I am love. And sometimes if I start to get a little bit anxious or if I'm like feeling sometimes my clients are like energetically connected me in different ways, and I'll like start to be like spinning mentally on different things. One of the things, especially when I'm laying down to go to bed, I will just my little mantra for myself to kind of like relax and ease my mind is I am love and I am loved. I am love and I am loved. And I will just repeat that until like the other noise calms down. But I know at my core, I am love. I love people deeply. I love my family. I love my friends. I love my clients. I love, period. I love. And so this applies to this client case study as well. She also just has an undefined G center. So Lauren, can you mention that again? So Lauren also has an undefined G. So that's the context that I think that was needed.
Yeah, thank you. I don't have gate 10, nor do I have any definition in my G center. Um, and so I'm constantly taking in other people's identity. And part of the context too is I also have I mentioned before that there are times where it's hard for me to love myself because I feel incomplete. And the context there is having a completely open ego, the little triangle to the right of your chart, and a nearly completely open G. Um, I- it it's hard to grab onto a sense of worth and a sense of myself. And I say that for no other reason than to just like provide context of that's what I've struggled with my entire life. And so when we talk about when you have definition, you have a deep responsibility to understand what that means and to put the healthiest, most correct version of you out into the world. It's easier for me to get a sense of someone else's identity than it is to understand my own. And just, yeah, for my whole life of like feeling like I'm incomplete. And again, I do not have gate 10. The only gate I have in my G that is activated is gate 13. So what I've said to you before is that in your presence, it is very hard not to love myself. Like really hard. Which also makes,
It's the like most like that's the best thing I've ever heard, actually.
yeah. Like, and it's so unnatural to me. And I don't mean like, woe is me, I'm over here with, Eeyore with a gray cloud over my head. No, if you met me, you're probably like, oh, she's she's got a lot going on over there. But just like deep down inside, that is what goes on, is that it's really hard for me to grab onto a sense of self-worth and a sense of who I am and a sense of where love comes from. And so in your presence, it's really hard not to love myself. And it's really uncomfortable sometimes. It's like,
Mhm.
God bless America. Like this is sometimes I'm like, okay, I need to get out of Hannah's aura for a little bit. I need to like go back to like, oh, where's the clean slate? And I say that there are times when it can be like that, but that's probably because I'm experiencing something else, going on. But also because it's not natural for me. It's almost like this flooding of, oh, this is what it feels like. Because your gate 10 also connects a lot of things in my chart of a definition that's already there. And so then it's like experiencing that, but in having that definition and understanding your responsibility to your self-love and your self-interest, really, quite honestly. I mean, that's what it's all about, right? You allow me the opportunity, one, to love myself. But if you're connecting, because you have gate 10, that connects my gate 34 and my gate 57 to gate 10. So then it's like, oh, well, now I have the behavior to act perfectly as myself in the moment. Right? I now have to follow my own convictions in Hannah's presence. And because you understand how to express that so healthfully, whatever the word is there, it's a completely different experience for me. And yeah, it is uncomfortable sometimes. Sometimes really fun.
Mhm. Well, I think you bring such a that's such a good point because, um, that journey to loving and accepting all of yourself, like, that it can be one of the hardest journeys for people.
Yes.
It like, accepting that you are a whole, complete, beautiful human with all of your own uniqueness, that nothing is wrong with you inherently. You're not born bad, you're not born wrong. You are a complete, beautiful expression of life that is different from everyone around you, even if you're a twin.
Yes.
Even
Yep.
if you're a twin. You have your own uniqueness still. And what was such an important thing that came up for me today in this call and why we're having this discussion right now, is, this client, she's brilliant. She has she has the channel of surrender, which is the channel that from gate 44 to gate 26, from the spleen on the left to the ego on the right. And that channel in particular is very, very keen on, I know what this is worth. I know what the tribe needs and I know what it's worth. And like that inherent sense of knowing how to value things and knowing when the bargain being my time, my energy, my product, whatever it is you sell or do, or even at home, the work that you do at home, the work that you do with your kids, the work that you do with your community, having an innate sense of, I know how valuable this is, and I know what it should be compensated with. Whether that's money or time or whatever, right? Like, it doesn't necessarily have to be a money thing, but in this world right now, most of us need money to live, right? So
Yeah. And
that's
it's
the expression that it flows through.
right. And it's the heart center, the ego center. So, I mean, it is about the material plane. Like,
Right, exactly. So whether that's, you live in a cooperative society and it's like my work deserves this much food,
yes.
right? Like whatever. Um, I also have the channel of surrender. So she and I have that as a companion channel. I see her. I see her and I celebrate how well she knows how to value her services and her contribution. And I cheer her on and like do it more, like how can you get even more refined, right? That's part of what we talk about. Um but it was so interesting that what she brought one of the things that she brought to the table today was feeling like she had the words she used was a warped sense of money. I feel like I have a warped relationship with money. And again, having known her for years and worked with her in different capacities, I I don't see that whatsoever. Like, that's very curious. Where is that coming from? Why why warped? Because she had because she sees, value. She knows what things are worth. The slight more context, a contractor was working on something for her house. They charged, she's not a she doesn't do construction. She's like, I don't know what that's supposed to be, what I should be charged, but they charged her $8,000. She was like, cool, yeah, that sounds about right, I guess, for this job. I don't know. But then she started to see, oh, he gave her an itemized bill. This was what the materials cost. This is what, the delivery cost. And then of that 8,000, a very small portion was for labor. And she's like, he worked really hard. He did a really good job. He was here for 4 days and worked like way more hours than I was expecting for that money. And if he's only charging this small amount for labor, that means he's only taking home a portion of that. How and she's like, like I like want to like talk to I want to share with him, but like Is something wrong? Her immediate thought, literal immediate thought was something is wrong with me for wanting to say something, for just wanting to share. This is where we're going to get into the projectorness of this in a minute too. So this all flows. But that immediate turning on herself of, I have a warped relationship with money. Because who am I to tell him he's not charging enough? There's something wrong with me. And when we peeled that back, looking at literally what she does for work, literally the way her beautiful brain processes, like she's, it's like you did the math. Like all you did was see clearly. You saw straight through the invoice. You saw him in the work he was doing. You saw the invoice and you said, holy crap, that's not, I mean, I guess someone could live on that, but how? And then she said, he's new in business. Like, oh, and remind me, I asked her, I was like, remind me, what do you do for a living? And she literally does almost this exact work with very large businesses, helping them to see how they can make things better in their
How they
financial
can
process.
extract or maximize the value in their processes.
Right, exactly. And making sure they're valuing all the pieces of the process in the correct way. And when I showed her that, we went into her chart. I showed her that channel of surrender. I showed her that, like, that defined ego. Only about 35% of the population has that defined ego. So that means 65% of the population, like Lauren was saying before, does not have a tether, a groundedness in, I know what the right bargain should be. And so she's over here telling herself it's warped when what the truth is that she has, and of that 35% that have a defined ego, not everyone has the channel of surrender. So how many, I don't know what how much that would be, but even a smaller portion of the population has that specific energetic connection to what the bargain should be. So she is unique in seeing that, and she's extremely good at identifying it and helping other people tap into her channel of surrender. When she has a very healthy expression, honestly. When she's in it, when she knows she's in it, she has a very healthy expression of that ego and that value and that worth. And that's why she gets such fantastic results with her clients. And so when she started to see that, she was like, "Oh my god, yes, that's true." So the flavor though, if we think about the G center for her, she's an undefined G center. Um the that's where I come in to lay that healthy expression of self-love on top. Because what I asked her was, "Okay, what do you hear when I say to you, if with my words and my voice, if my voice says, you have a warped relationship with money," the way that she said it to herself, very accusatory, very like, ugh, something's wrong with you. What do you hear when I say it to you? And it comes off as completely incongruous. Like, that's incongruent. That doesn't match. Hannah would never say that to me. And so this is where, Lauren, I think you've talked about this before too, like being like allowing someone with boundaries to borrow that energy for a time, right? So for her, that was one of my invitations was, all right, next time you feel or think a thought like that, where you're, you know, something's wrong with you, anything in that category of something is wrong with me. I'm weird. That doesn't, I'm bad. Something's wrong. Imagine me saying that to you. distance yourself from it. Imagine me saying that to you and feel if that's true or not. Because if I wouldn't say that to you, it's not true. And for her, that was like, oh, yeah, that makes complete sense.
Yeah. It's super interesting how kind of the narrative that she created of this, I've got a warped view of money. When and you talking about, she has actually a very clear view of the bargain, right? And as a projector, she sees the clear view of someone else's bargain.
Yes.
Because she has that definition, she's understood, she's had so many bargains in her life that because I know this client, she can be very logical. She's very like brilliant person. And so understanding her energy, she can take it from that logical point of view and be like, oh, I see that now. And for her to, and we all do this, right? Hannah, you and I have talked about this before. I don't know that we've actually talked it in depth on this particular podcast, but this idea of oftentimes we think of our definition as not enough
Mhm.
because it's just the thing that makes us us, and it's kind of like, oh, well, it's not that big of a deal. But then it's in our openness that we become too much, or we believe that we are too much, or others perceive us as too much, because yeah, we are taking in that energy and we're amplifying what is around us. So yes, it's natural to make the logical leap that we're too much when it comes to openness because we don't know what to do with it. But we discount our definition as, it's not that big a deal. No, it is a very big deal. It's
Yes.
the thing that makes you you, and it is so narrow, and it is so fixed, and it is so precise that it is absolutely the most beautiful parts of you because no one can replicate it. Actually, truly, not even a twin. If you get down to the nitty gritty of the color and the base and all the things in human design that we're not going to talk about, they are actually different among twins. So then how it expresses from a twin is actually very different. So yes, you do have a very narrow, unique, limited contribution that you here and make to this world. So yes, you have a huge responsibility to understand that definition so that others can experience it. When we were talking about this before we got on, and now that we're talking here, I'm like, God bless America. I wish I had that. Like it's one of those like, God, I wish I could look at myself and be like, oh, that bargain ain't working for you, honey. You need to do something about it. But again, going back to her projectorness of looking at this contractor who's new in business and presumably doing a great job, and she sees it and she's like, whoa, that that bargain seems way off. And then what did she do after that? How then did you take that projectorness of like, okay, how do we use that?
Yes. So the first piece was to ground into the self-love, was to, put like that was absolutely the focus of that first aspect of like, first of all, this is special and unique. This is one of your gifts to the world. And one of my gifts to the world is for you to be able to borrow that energy of how do I see myself with the eyes of love more fully. So, because the it's like that's the bridge. That's the bridge to what comes next, right? Like if you love yourself and you see yourself as I am loved, I am love. There's nothing missing or wrong about me as I am. And so I'm having this intuition to share something that I see. All of a sudden, it takes that weight of, is something wrong with me off? No, we'll just put that over there. That doesn't exist. It's fine. Okay. So then what's the next step? As a projector, if you just go to that person and say, "Hey, I don't think you're charging enough. Can I tell you, not even can I don't think you're charging enough. You should be charging way more." And you just drop that on them, it's like, ugh, like, "Excuse me? I didn't ask for that." And they're probably gonna get defensive, because if you just go in as a projector, uninvited, and start telling people what to do, you will be met with resistance. There's not a even if a generator, because 70% of us are generator types, right? So you're probably gonna find a generator. Um, chances are. Um, w we don't like being told what to do by someone that we didn't choose to be to give that, authority to, right? Like, ugh, don't tell me what to do. Go take that elsewhere. And then you feel like, "Oh, well, that doesn't feel good. I was just trying to help. I was just trying to help. I just saw something and I just wanted to help." Okay.
Yes, and that's typically when projectors learn that they're projectors and their strategy is to wait for the invitation. That's usually the rub, is because their entire lives I just wanna help. I just see it. I just wanna help.
It's so obvious to me. Oh my god, it's so obvious. It's so I just wanna help. And yeah, yes, that is true. I know it's so obvious to you. I know you see it immediately. But if you go in hot, telling someone what they need to do different, they are going to rebuff you. Or even if they're like a people pleaser and they're like, "Oh, haha, yeah, thanks." They're gonna as soon as you're away, they're gonna be like, "Ugh, get off of that."
Yeah, like, I'm not doing that.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely not. And so then the question was, she was like, "Okay, well then what do I do?" She's like, "Well, do I go and then like ask this other question and like and even as what's so powerful in this coaching relationship, any coaching relationship, and understanding our human designs is I could let her know, like, let me tell you what that feels like. If a projector is over here, like asking like little, like little fact finding questions of like, they're trying to ask something else, but they're like, well, what about this? And what about that? It's like, it feels like a mosquito. They're like, like you're like dodging. You're like, I feel you like trying to like penetrate my energy. And I stop it.
Mhm.
What actually works then? Asking a direct question that has consent built in. And if the person says no, you say, great, never mind. What does that look like in this scenario? I literally said to her, okay, you can go tell him, hey, so this is XYZ is what I do for a living. I think you did a phenomenal job. And I just was seeing some things, that I wonder if you could price things a little bit differently. Would you like to hear about it? Drop. Stop. Close your lips. Then let that other person have their autonomy to respond. If they say, she's like, well, what if he says yes? I was like, then you are allowed to ask all your questions. Be as nosy as you want. He'll tell you if he doesn't want to tell you something. But once you've given, hey, this is what I do. This is, I saw something that I thought, I had an idea. Would you like to hear about it? Then put it in the other person's court. That is literally uh, prompting the invitation in a way, again, that builds in consent where the other party can say yes or no. And if they say no, you honor the no and you're good. That's all. It's so simple, truly. But projectors, and we've worked through this wound with her before too, of like, she feels like she has to say yes to every invitation. because there's a projector wound of people aren't going to invite me. I have to share. I have to overshare. I have to be in the mix. Otherwise, I'm not going to get an invitation. So they want to take every invitation, even if it's not correct, and they get scared to put themselves out there and receive a no. So let's unpack that more. What's coming up for you?
Yeah, it is a beautiful example of the power of projectors. And we've alluded to this before, is that, a lot of times when projectors learn that they're projectors, it becomes to sit in the corner and wait for an invitation. No, you really don't. You are an autonomous human being who has every right to live your life in a way that makes the most sense to you. The greatest way for projectors to receive invitations is to extend invitations. And exactly the way that you said it is, hey, I noticed something. Here's context, right? Whether it's what I do or it's what I've seen or the experience I've had, whatever the case may be, the context. I've noticed something. Do you want to hear it? And then accepting the yes or the no and being okay with the no. And that invitations will literally abound. You just have to start recognizing and seeing when they show up. Another thing to do for projectors, it's not necessarily always the invitation. It's recognizing the gifts in others, saying like, wow, you are really good at X, Y, and Z, right? Imagine doing that to a generator whose aura is already open and enveloping of like, oh, you're giving me something that I'm really good at. Yeah, 100%. Give me more of that. Give me more recognition. I'll extend my energy to you. The thing for projectors that I always talk about with them is that, to your point, not every invitation is the correct invitation. Because energetically speaking, what happens when a projector, oh, this goes full circle moment here. Here we go. When a projector accepts the invitation, they are accepting the energy from the other person.
Yes.
So this is where it comes back to where you are defined. You have a huge responsibility to understand and put the healthy expression out into the world. And oftentimes where projectors feel a lot of bitterness is one, they believe they aren't being extended the invitations. Or two, which I believe is probably happening more often, and that is me just speculating, they're accepting the wrong invitations. Because your success, that is your signature theme as a projector. Your success is actually in the interaction and the guidance you give to somebody else, right? That's the success. It's in the interaction. So if something feels unsuccessful or you feel really bitter, it's likely, or it can be likely, that you've accepted the wrong invitation and you're accepting energy that really isn't going to work for you. And truly, projectors, you hold a lot more power than you give yourself credit for. Like you can literally see into the energy of other people. Like when you are correct, you can give the most effective guidance to other people. That is significant power. Right? And in talking in the context of this client, right? She has a considerable power. One, because her gift is to be able to understand the correct bargain and to be able to see, swear, the bargain you've set up for yourself in this business isn't correct for you, or is at least isn't correct right now, or could very quickly not be correct in the future. Can we get ahead of that? Or can I support you in getting ahead of that? Or even if I just drop a nugget and I'm out, right? Because this is the person who the contractor did the work. She's probably not going to see him ever.
Right. Unless they need more work because they were
Right, unless they
did
need
a
more
good
work.
job.
But also, let's just assume this contractor is a generator. I mean, we'd probably be fairly close to believe that he's a generator, right? And if she just dropped the nugget and helped him see that the bargain may be off, like how much power is she giving him?
Yes.
Because even if he says no right now, what if he comes back a week later and gives her a call and is like, okay, yeah, I want to hear what you have to say now.
Or even if he takes that, if he gets even just an inkling of like, you could have charged more, and he does the next time to a healthy bargain. We are not advocating for, price gouging. Um,
God, no, no.
a healthy bargain where he can support his business and support his family, which is literally the entire purpose of Expansive CEO. How do we help small businesses more easily support themselves and their families and their communities? That is the main purpose. Um, if that helps him, just that one interaction with someone who says, "Hey, I see more value here than what you've given yourself credit for so far."
Who doesn't want to hear that message?
Right? Some people might have a hard time hearing that message. There are money stories,
Yeah,
that abound
yeah.
around that message, right? Um, but at the core, yes, right? To hear even from your point of, like, to hear that, "Oh my gosh, this work is I'm so happy with it. This did exactly what I wanted it to do. You did such a fabulous job." Yes, that's the like, again, that's what feeds. Okay. The buoyancy, the resilience to go out and do it again. All of that is important.
It's extremely important, and you bring up a great point. As yes, who doesn't want to hear that the product that they put out into the world, whether it's their hard work, whether it's an actual product, whether it's just them, just simply existing and interacting with another human being. Like, who doesn't want 99.9% of people want to hear that message? And you talk about now it can be hard to receive that message. And I also look at that as another opportunity and the power that extends well beyond just projectors. So that anybody can provide that message, but then to have someone sit with the discomfort of that is also another powerful gift, because provided they are in a space that they want to work on that, they want to move that forward, they want to clear that space, they want to heal that wound, you've just given somebody else another powerful gift of like, holy crap, this is something that I want to deal with. And oftentimes that discomfort probably connects to something that is open inside of you, and a center that's open in some way. Because you're right. I've words of affirmation are, one of my love languages, but they're really hard to hear, particularly when they have to do with my worth or how someone perceives me and my identity. Because again, I do not have this grounded sense of who I am or what I'm worth. Again, I'm not saying that I'm like Eeyore over here and I'm just, wallowing in it. It's simply, I don't know how to explain it other than it's just this vast void sometimes. And I think this is probably the quote unquote wound I will deal with my entire life. And getting closer and closer to accepting ACC, that it will never feel fully grounded. There's always going to be a movement, there's always going to be an evolution, but also getting to a point of comfort, of understanding who I am through how people experience me, and accepting that with an undefined G, I can be whoever the hell I want at any given moment. and the kind of accepting the fun in that.
Yeah. There was, do you have that up still? There was a really powerful note about
Oh, yes.
the G center that you
Yes.
shared before we started. And again, if you need to grab your chart, go grab your chart. It's the diamond, right, kind of right smack dab in the middle of the chart is your G center or self center. Also, note here because, and I should have said this at the beginning, and we should probably say this at the beginning of every podcast. Um, if you have never pulled your human design chart and you have no idea what that is, you probably want to go do that. If you're listening to the podcast and you're like, you know what, I really like this. I'm really drawn. I just like listening. And I say this again because that's what other people have told me. Uh, like, I really like it. I really like listening, but I don't know the full context of what you're talking about, is feedback I've gotten. And to be fair, I don't know what to tell you exactly because we can't like go through the whole thing. We should probably have a playlist somewhere. Like, here's some basics. That's probably a good idea. Um, but I think the like initial go to expansiveceo.com. There's a button. What does it say now? Start here.
Discover your
Discover your design.
start your discovery. Start your
Start
discovery.
start with discovery. There we go. We're
Mhm.
really good at this, you guys. Uh, go to expansiveceo.com, click on the start your discovery button and get your human design chart. That's if you have not done that yet and you've been listening to this podcast and you keep listening and you don't know why, there's probably a reason.
Yes.
So go grab your chart and then you can follow along and start to learn more as we're talking about it. So anyway, there was that caveat. So the G center, what was the thing that you wrote down about the G center?
Okay. Well, let's talk about the basics too. Is that the G center is the center for love, identity, and direction. Um, and oftentimes when we think about love, it's always the love on the outside. What is where's the not self question from a G center is where is love going to come from? And in my own journey, in my own processing of all of my open centers, I've done a lot of work on the G, the ego, and my solar plexus. The head I've kind of left to like, all right, we'll figure that out later. It's fine. But those three have really, as one of my instructors through my analyst training said, those three centers being undefined, I've mentioned before, they call it Heartbreak Hotel, which I can
Fun. Special.
absolutely tell you that's what that means. So as I was walking one day, it just kind of dawned on me that, the love, and this again, full circle back to what we started with, the love is all about love, inside love, like a self love. That in order to really find love from the outside, it first has to come within. And kind of the notes that I wrote down is that it's not about finding love outside of yourself. Love isn't something you find with or in someone. If you want to find love, look inward, accept yourself, embrace all that you are, good, bad, and ugly.
That to me sounds like the wisdom of an undefined G center.
And recognizing that, and I'll say I tend not to talk in such definitive terms or absolutes, but you'll never find true love with someone else until you've really found it with yourself.
Well, even from my perspective, coming from a very defined G, I don't have all the gates. It's not that I've seen that before too. That's a lot.
Right?
Amazing. But it is where I am defined
Very defined.
is very defined. Um, that belief, that self-belief, that self-acceptance, and that self-love did still have to go through layers of deconditioning to be able to, um, love myself without condition. have unconditional love for me. And I think that um, that term by itself is loaded, unconditional love.
Yes.
And I mean, my perspective now on that is absolutely unconditional love exists. And unconditional love actually also requires healthy boundaries, healthy agreements, because when you love yourself unconditionally and you no longer tolerate being treated as less than the fullness of what you are. So does that mean, sometimes when we talk about unconditional love, um, or when I've said that before to someone, and it was so interesting. She was like, I don't believe in unconditional love. Like all love should have conditions. And that's a good counterpoint. And at the same time, love is. Love is an energy. Love is a frequency that exists. So to say that it is or isn't somewhere, I don't believe that that's possible. I believe love just exists as a frequency. That's part of what that means to me. And that does not mean that people are allowed to act unkindly or act, to harm others and claim it's love. Right. And so, yeah, unconditional love. No, I don't think that they're like if my husband for some reason started being abusive, which has never happened. Just
Yeah.
for the record. But if
This is
some
rhetorical. This is theoretical.
fully theoretical, right? I have the full love for myself. I'm so grounded in my unconditional love for me, for my body, for my mental health now, again, which has been developed over time as I've been intentional about this, to know that if someone is then abusing me and I'm feeling that and I recognize that, we're done. That energy does not get to continue. Even if it's someone that I love, right? Even if it's if something is going on for that other person and they are now hurting me, we create a boundary. We say I love myself too much to let this happen to me. And that's where the true unconditional love is. Because that other person needs some help somehow. Right? That's so what is the loving thing to do? The loving thing is actually to say like this is not okay. It's not okay for you to treat people like this. You need to clean that up before you will be allowed access back to my energy if ever. Right? Like that you are those are I love myself boundaries. Which again, I don't know. I recognize now and I don't know what the percentages are with the G center. I don't think it's quite as
Yeah,
skewed.
I don't know off the top of my head. I think there's more defined than undefined, but don't quote me on that.
Okay, we can look it up. Uh,
Yeah.
but now you're like knowing that about myself, then it does people who are undefined in this area, that's where it can be hard, right? To say, "Oh, well, but I love this person. If I don't let them do whatever they want, then they're going to take the love away and then where's the love going to come from?" And that's where I come in and I'm like, it's in here. It's in your own self. You have to love you more. Which again, this might sound completely insane to some people. Like, that you need to love yourself. I'm okay with that.
But it's also part of your contribution, right? This is the contribution you're here to show. You're also a 6-2. Be the example of love. Be the example of what it means to hold your higher convictions, to um, what's the channel of awakening? Higher principles. So to follow your convictions, to hold your higher principles for your self expression, for your self love, all of those things. You're here to be that example. So if it sounds insane to somebody, it's simply because one, they may not yet understand that. Two, that's not their contribution. And three, they don't understand enough about themselves to be able to filter that message in a way that works, right? Yes, I mean to someone like myself, is that sometimes in in my very heightened conditioned state with my completely open ego, let me give and give and give and give and give. Because if I don't give, if I don't overcommit, if I don't do all these things, well, you're going to take the love away. And if you take the love away, what is that going to mean? And in this last year and a half of all the things that have happened, really thinking about this idea of self love. Because then I also look at my completely defined spleen,
Mhm.
right? And if
Lauren
I,
has everything defined and most of them double at least. It's a lot.
it's a lot. It's a lot. Um, but also being able to balance my contribution, because what I've also learned is, while loving myself, in increasing the love for myself and recognizing that that is the standard of love for me. And that's not to say that other people can't meet it. I'm simply saying that is the standard for me of raising my self love, and taking out the deconditioning that if it's not given to me, it'll never be there. That's not true. But then also balancing that with, you are safe. That is where my split, your splenic center is the gate of intuition. It's the gate of instinct. It's the gate of our immune system and our safety. That despite if the love that you believe you need from other people is taken away, you are still safe, right? I always go back to the universe and thank the gods that, yes, I was given Heartbreak Hotel, but I was also given the biggest defined spleen on the planet to help me find that balance between those two things. And it's my responsibility to understand that balance and to recognize, oh, this overcommitment that I've made, this people pleasing that I do, this direction that I think I need to move in because it's the one that'll give me love, or that's the direction of the other person, mm, might not be the safest thing for you. And it tends to be that if those three centers, my heartbreak hotel, my solar plexus, my heart center, ego, and my G, have overridden my spleen, there will be a moment I'm like, and we're done. Like, sometimes no explanations, like, no, we're good here. I've overridden myself for so long, and then my body screams, and then it's like, okay, well, sorry, deuces. So my journey is, how do I find the balance between those two things? Because it's also not healthy to just be like, deuces. And by that, I mean, yes, it may be the right call and the healthy call to end that relationship or that whatever. But back to some of the points that we've made in previous uh, episodes, it's like, I'm also here to learn how to interact and to have more balanced and to be able to demonstrate love. Maybe not necessarily like love in the traditional sense for the other person because maybe they crossed a boundary or I allowed them to cross a boundary. Let's put it that way. But to have enough love and compassion for myself to have the conversation versus just being like, and we're done.
Right. Right, because your this is where the bring in the astrological natal chart is so much fun. Your Jupiter placement is in the 7th house of partnerships, which means your opportunities for your greatest expansion happen within, how do I, like, the question is, how do I say yes to the right partnerships and stay in them with safe, healthy boundaries, full expression on both sides, right? That is a growth edge for you. And there's a difference, right? Yeah, when it's an unhealthy relationship, cutting ties is the right thing, but if it's a matter of, hey, maybe we're just not like, maybe we're talking past each other somehow, right? How do you come back into balanced relationship, like you're saying, is such, it's so funny how, like all of these traditions, it inform each other. Astrology is part of the human design um system, but when we the interesting things that I've found in kind of pulling apart the separate parts is they provide even more insight when we look at them in, and kind of just like, hey, let's turn the prism a little bit. What
Yes.
if we look at just this facet a little differently? Um, so yeah, that's been super interesting.
Mhm. Yeah. They all have a place.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, have I shared this? I don't think I've shared this before. I'm going to share. So this episode will be just slightly longer um, than usual, but like again, kind of to your point about like our individual contributions, we, you know, my conviction and my deep knowing that at my core I am love, and at all of our core, we all have access to this self-love and love in general. I did an ayahuasca journey recently, and it was so interesting because on the second night you sit for, it depends on where you go and how you do it, but in this particular setting we sat for 2 nights, Friday night and a Saturday night. And on Saturday night, my question for the medicine was, you know, or my request had been like, show me more of who I am. Show me who I really am. What am I in my fullest expression? And the answer that came back, one was hilarious because it just kept saying like, you know who and what you are. Why do you keep trying to ask who you are? Like stop it. Like you are love. And what was so special was the nuance that I received from that too. Because from that, that's I've received that message so many times in so many ways. And um the nuance that I received this time was, now don't take that lightly, because not everyone's fullest expression is love. Everyone's fullest expression of who they are is also unique. Some people are different aspects of love. I am an aspect of love. And I think I have shared this on the podcast before, because you came up into my awareness too, that your highest expression is grace, which is different from love, right? And is so beautiful and so important. And I even had another one of my best friends came up, and her expression was the warrior of love, right? Like she goes in different ways, um, where love is hard to access, and helps unlock that. And it was such a beautiful um, illustration of, yes, you are love, but don't discount how important that is, because you help others find their expression of love. And so the image that came with it, it was interesting, because it was like right here, it's like the solar plexus, we'll say, it was like a ring around
Mhm.
the solar plexus with like different gemstone, like places to put different gemstones. I guess if you're like an Avengers person, like a not like an infinity ring, because I think that's a bad thing. Like Thanos' infinity ring, right? So not like that. We're not building supervillains. But like this beautiful thing that has these places for these different gemstones. And when I be me, when I be love, and I allow someone else to tap into that expression of love, feel what it feels like. It literally is like taking like this red gem. Was it red? It's either red or like a beautiful like amber color, and it like installs that into your operating system. So you now have, this is what it feels like to love myself. And you get to, like, that's yours now. Like it came from me and just being all of myself and allowing you to have the experience that you need to have and install your own version of self-love into you. Likewise, you with grace give that gift to others and they can install their little grace gem into their infinity heart. I don't know.
Like, we're gonna start using Infinity Heart now. Is that how we're gonna work?
But that it was not it was such an important thing to like ground into, of like, stop thinking this is not important. Stop thinking this is just something everyone knows and feels or has access to easily.
And full circle moment, like that being having owning the responsibility of your own definition. And again, not in a guilty way, but in this beautiful way that you're describing it. It's like, this is part of who I am. This isn't something that everybody shares. This isn't something that everybody has the ability to express the way that I have it. And again, it's like looking at, like, flipping the script and saying, hey, your definition is the thing that's, no, it's not too much. It's the perfect amount of concentration or definition or whatever you want to call it. It's the perfect amount because not everyone has it. And I would guarantee there is no one on this planet that has it the way you have it in connection with everything else you have it connected with. So
And then
no.
on top of that, the experiences that I've had that have
Yeah.
shaped the expression of how those gates express.
Yeah. The good, bad, and the ugly of it. Because none of it is good, bad, or ugly. It's just energy. Now, can it lead to bad or ugly things? Yeah. 100%. But it's all about learning from those, keeping those, and then to be able to express it healthfully because you've processed and you've reflected and you've, you know, taken what you need and left what you didn't. And then to then just kind of like fuel the engine is how I kind of look at that from your definition point of view. So yes, beautiful. And what you experienced in your in that session is exactly what I experienced. And that was even before you've even described any of this. Like, it's like, yep, that little thing gets hooked right in there, and then I sit uncomfortably with it sometimes, and
That feels different.
that feels weird to me. But then being able to reflect after and be like, "Oh, that's what it's exactly what that."
Yeah, and that to come back to, the kind of the homework I gave to my client was like, if you have these thoughts of something is wrong with me, why am I like this? Anything in those arenas, right? Imagine me saying that to you and feel the discordance. because again, that's the when it doesn't match, right? Like the vibration doesn't match the words. You're like, I can't accept that. I don't accept that as true because that doesn't match the vibration of Hannah. It doesn't. It again reinforces that connection of like, this is what love feels like. That is not love. I now recognize that as not love. I now recognize when I say mean things about myself to myself, that is not love. And just the awareness, that's the first, we talk about this in a lot of different ways, but that awareness is the first step.
Yes. Yep. And I always like to say, if talking negatively to ourselves was the answer, it would have worked right now.
So true. Has beating yourself up got you where you wanted to go? No? What if we try something else?
Maybe, just maybe. See.
Maybe. What if I see that you're a super amazing, cool human being and you come look at yourself the way that I see you for just a hot second?
What might be possible?
What would you do then? Yeah. Yes. I love it. Okay. I say we wrap it up there for the week. Sound good? Um, and if any of this, so this will drop what day? The 14th, July 14th, this will drop. We want you to be on the lookout. We've got let's talk about it just for a second. Just share because I've been feeling like I want the energy of like wanting to share. We are going to be creating a paid subscriber tier in Substack on the Expansive CEO Substack. We are super excited about this. We've already got, content built up that's going to be right, like special for paid subscribers, and a really, really super special gift as well. Do we want to talk about that or do we want to wait?
Let's wait.
Let's wait on
Let's
that
get
one.
let's get a little bit more structure behind it, and then
Okay. But there's also a very, like, for paid subscribers, there is a very, very special thing that is not actually available anywhere else. So that's going to be super special. We'll be answering really cool questions, especially from paid subscribers, and just giving even more content that is a little bit more specific and actionable, I would say. Like in the realm of like, okay, I hear what you're saying. I love what you're saying. I love this message. What do I do with it? What do I do about it? That's what that next nurturing tier is for. And of course, if you're already in the lane of like, I'm already there, how do I work with you? How do we get there? Send us a note because we do of course have offerings in Expansive CEO, offerings in X Squared Wealth Planning as well to meet you where you're at right now. But this is another place if you love what you hear and you just can't get enough, come hang out with us on Substack, ask us questions, and watch out for the other cool things that are coming. Anything else? That's July 29th. I
yes,
wanted to say that. July 29th.
which is a Wednesday, I believe.
Yeah. So from the time this drops, about
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Yes. No, I have nothing to add. That was perfect.
Okay. So just a teaser for now, but stay tuned. You will find more. And this is so special. Thank you for having this conversation with me, Lauren. I love co-hosting with you. It's my
Yeah.
favorite.
I know, me too.
Yay. Let's keep doing it then. Sounds good. And we will have more for you next week. So stay tuned.
Trans.